You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together with good drinks and good people. Smirnoff is the world's #1 vodka and is an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this year, Smirnoff is giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. From tickets to sideline passes and much more, just head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15, 2024 to enter for your chance to win. That's WeDoGameDays.com. Smirnoff, we do game days.
Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends November 15, 2024. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Inc., New York, New York.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. If you're a smoker or dipper looking to make a change, you really only need one reason to do it. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you can find many. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch. It's made with only 6 simple ingredients. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Learn more about Zyn and find your reason to make a change by registering online at Zyn.com.
Greg, do you see your son spinning around all over the place here in a room that is presently empty because he's running back and forth to makeup, trying to get everyone started, and everyone's just eating muffins?
Sure, yeah. Spinning like a dreidel over there.
Do you understand what's happening around here where I've asked Chris that I want to start the show a little bit earlier so the YouTube audience could have a little more privacy with us?
Sure.
And Chris is running back and forth like his hair is on fire because he's trying to get people out of a makeup room, a very small makeup room, by the way.
It's incredibly small. It's as crowded as Grand Central Station in there.
Yeah, that's the third time you've made that joke. My dad walked out of there trying to get
When's
makeup.
the last time you were in Grand Central Station?
It's been a while.
So do you even know if people are using Grand Central Station the way that they used to?
Yeah, it's got the big elaborate stairways and everything. That was one of my dad's, Wild Bill Cote. That was his expression for anything that was crowded.
You do realize, though, that you are now in the portion of your life and career where you make these same jokes, like they're cliches. They're not cliches to everybody, but you make them so often that they're your personal cliches.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful?
It's not really. It's lazy. You're a man that's very good with the language, and you need to mix it up every time. You shouldn't be saying things that are bland, that are vanilla, because I've heard them for 50 years.
Okay, I disagree with that. Grand Central Station is an evergreen. It's a classic. They could tear the building down. Grand Central Station could no longer exist, and it would still work as a metaphor for, wow, it's crowded in here. It's like Grand Central Station in here. That's a family heirloom, okay, that I'm passing down to Christopher.
Chris, how often on the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote
thanks for the mention, though.
Are you annoyed or frustrated by your father in general because he's just saying things he's said all your life, saying expressions? Every time I'm around your dad, I am being pelted on the side of the face with 12 expressions that I've heard for 30 years.
Same. And everyone's always like, how are we still discovering these? But like once a week, he says something in here, and I'm like, yep, been hearing that my whole life.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, nothing's wrong with it. It's just you're odd.
I think it's also lazy, though. I'm judging it. I'm saying
that kind of thing.
He's right, though.
Welcome, Billy. Welcome
Isn't there
back.
like a difference between like Grand Central Station and Grand Central Terminal? Or am I wrong about that?
Grand Central Terminal doesn't have a ring to it.
I think the only reason that he said Grand Central Station for as long as he has is because it's a rhythmic musical phrase that is funny. He doesn't even care about the bustle of Grand Central Station. It's it's the comedic phrasing. And in fact, you ruined the joke, Billy. Let me do this here. Hold on a second.
Got a minor penalty, 2 minutes for ruining comedy.
You ruined the joke by making it Grand Central Terminal. It doesn't sound as funny.
Terminal's a word that means dead.
Yeah, that too.
So I have to leave now?
Well, I don't know what the rules are during what isn't the Shadow Show anymore and what the listeners have rejected as the Trickling In show. But here's Stugotz now as well. You look surprisingly, Billy, fresh-faced for what it is that you guys just did back and forth to Arizona.
What does that mean, fresh-faced?
You
look good.
You don't look weary, broken, tired by just flying back and forth. Did you get some reprieve or relief from being dad for a weekend?
No, my family went with me.
He
on
brought
this
his
trip.
kids.
Yeah, we went. I took them up. I took them up early, out of pocket. Took them up
Amateur
early.
move.
Thursday went up. We had a nice little desert experience. We went to Sedona, which is very nice on one of the days. And we went for a nature trail yesterday before we flew back, but it got us in late. Which I'm not like. I don't love flying. I'm not like afraid of it. That I've kind of moved past that. But like I don't just like sitting still for a long time. Great when your team is playing a football game on a long flight. Oh, that was incredible. I got to watch the Dolphins game. I watched everything up until like the mid-fourth quarter, and then I just watched it on my phone as I was waiting for checked bags. What a delight. What a delight.
Wow, you are the only person in the history of checked bags at Miami Airport saying what a delight.
Someone came up to me. Technology is incredible now. You have, a television at the palm of your hands every day, right? In the palm of your hands. But like you have it. I couldn't take a step without watching the game if I didn't want to yesterday. Someone actually came up to me, a man that worked at the airport, tapped me on the shoulder, said, "You watching the game?" And I was about to tell him, like, "Yeah, fins up. We're about to win this one." He's like, "It's on the TV right there." I was like, "Hey, thanks, buddy." Put the phone back in my pocket, watched the end of the game. What a game. Jason Sanders, huh? Over 1.5 field
Stop
goals.
it, Billy.
Why do you say stop it?
I mean, he's had his eye on Jason Sanders for nearly 3 years now, and then he puts a bet in on Jason Sanders over 1.5 field goals, and suddenly he's the biggest Jason Sanders fan in the world.
Not the biggest Jason Sanders fans, but Billy's Big Board Bets, another big weekend. We had 3 picks for our live stream, 2-1 on that, and then I had my 3 picks for yesterday's Monday Nighter on the Monday episode of God Bless Football, 2-1 on that one too. I'm damn near. I got to check the records here, but I think I'm like 29-14 at the moment.
It's funny that you say that because all I saw was you holding up a sign that said Achan over 104
Yeah, he
and a
really
half
pooped the
yards
bed.
passing or receiving and rushing, and
Yeah.
so I took that bet. It's the only one.
No, you should have taken all of them. That was the one not to take. You know the problem with that is when you have multiple like negative 10-yard plays, really hard to get that done. Really hard when you keep losing yards. Because every time you gain yards, like that's good. But if you lose yards, the yards you gained, they're out the window. They didn't even count, so it didn't matter.
Jessica, Lucy, you guys have been doing more traveling than most around here recently. Do you guys find Miami International baggage claim as sad as anywhere in your travels that you will find? Because I find that area to be very sad, slow. It feels a bit third world. It doesn't make me feel like I'm in a big city getting my bags in Miami.
Yes and no. So a lot of the time I fly out the Charlotte airport, which is where all dreams go to die. That place is terrible. I've waited like an hour plus for my bag at the Charlotte airport before. The Miami one, yeah, it doesn't feel nice, but I will say it's the airport I fly to where I see the most people waiting with balloons and signs more than anywhere else. And it always makes me feel really warm inside. So I think it sort of cancels it out.
I've never checked a bag at Miami ever.
Ever?
I avoid it at all costs. No, do not check
Smart.
a bag. Never
Yeah.
check a bag.
Got a backlight.
Surprised Dan has checked the bag.
I'm surprised he waits for his own bag. too.
Same. Yeah.
That's accurate. Every single time I've checked a bag at Miami, they've had to buy me a new suitcase because they've broken it.
Really?
Yeah, it's happened to me like 3 or 4 times.
They buy you a new suitcase?
Yeah, so
like
you,
of your choosing?
Yeah, no. So you have to if your suitcase is broken, this is what you do. I have learned the hard way. You go and immediately check after baggage claim, make sure everything is right, and then you have to go to whatever your airline counter is immediately. Don't go home because they won't let you send pictures. You have to go and do it in person, and you have to show them your bag, and they're like, okay, yeah, we broke that. Sorry about that. And then you go and you submit a receipt for your luggage, which I usually just buy a new luggage and then submit that receipt, and then they'll pay you back in like a month.
Dan, when your valet is waiting for your baggage, does he report back to you whether it's taking a long time?
You guys are funny with this, but I regularly wait for my own bag.
That's crazy. I've got you with somebody has the sign that says Laguardia.
Well, I have that too.
Oh, okay.
I do have.
Right, but we have you in the car and that guy waiting for the bag.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't know which bag it is.
The
No.
sign doesn't say Laguardia because that would be an invasion of privacy.
It's Jack
You've got
Spade.
a code name.
What is your nom de plume?
I don't have a nom de plume. It just says Lebatard.
Carl Morris.
That's hard to believe.
When you say you wait for bags, you wait at the carousel, you wait for Jeeves to bring it over.
You guys keep making same versions of the same jokes, but but you're ignoring that I'm telling you that I probably stand in baggage claim just as much as you do.
We're not ignoring it. We just don't believe it.
Okay,
but your butler's named Jeeves, right?
Juan.
Mike.
My fake name is Flackman.
Flackman? What's the first name?
Jack.
Jack Flackman.
Jack.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Looks funny on a card, too.
Yeah, Jack Flackman. With a K, double C, one C. How are we spelling Flackman?
CK.
CK.
Flackman, the standard spelling.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. What am I going to put, Cote? It's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's an invasion of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm washing my hands in a bathroom, a public bathroom, the loud hand dryer is an invasion of my privacy. I don't want people to know I'm in the bathroom drying my hands.
Right.
You know? I'm gonna wash. You know, I don't want paper towels either. I want to come out of the bathroom with wet hands. You shake them like that, and then you air dry them.
Old school.
You go like this. Yeah.
That's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
What do you hear about David Sampson's bathroom?
What about
The
it?
amount of towel options you have there, it's crazy.
Really?
Just don't use the wrong one.
Have you been there?
No, he talked about it the other day. He's got a hand towel, an ass towel, and a body towel.
My dad's the opposite. One towel for everything.
Seems like he wants no towels, though.
Right. I want no towels.
Yeah.
You don't need them.
Your father's unclean.
Hair? No. I wash my hands.
Your father is just generally unclean.
No, that's not true. I have hygiene out the ass.
Mm-hmm. You tell him.
No,
you tell him.
I lead the league in hygiene.
Yes.
Okay, when I'm in the bathroom, I wash my hands. I even use soap.
Your last podcast was your wife actively disgusted by you.
I know, and since then I've bought a toilet brush. I learn. You know, I'm an old chunk of coal, but I'm gonna be a diamond someday. His name is Cooper, good at running curls. But when his hammy got a tear, he saw Puka standing there, his blade diminished. Hostile take over. Nakua hopped into the car. McVay has maybe found a star. And then Matt Stafford threw him 25 and 2. Oh, there's a brand new kid in town out of BYU. They call him Puka. Puka Nakua. His quarterback is not named Tua. Yeah, he is Puka. Puka Nakua. Fantasy assassin, it's the time to cash in. Yeah, it's Puka. Don't need the glove. Don't need the glove.
This is the Dan Levator Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Jessica, you've been able your entire time in Miami to avoid baggage claim at Miami International Airport. You pack so light that you've been able to always avoid that? Because I can't avoid that. I would love to be able to avoid. What Lucy is seeing at MIA, I think, is where she sees all the balloons and stuff. I think that's a lot of international stuff, and I think that's people coming in from Cuba, and people are like reuniting with family is what Lucy's seeing there. That's a happy part of the airport. The saddest part of one of the saddest airports in America is that baggage claim, and I can't believe Jessica's been able to avoid it.
I don't pack light. I pack very heavy, but I compact it all into one luggage thing that is a carry-on size. I don't actually have packing cubes. I don't need packing cubes. I shove that shit in. I sit on my suitcase, I zip it up, and then I use like the jaws of life to put it in the overhead compartment by myself. And then I pack a second bag to the brim that I can barely lift up and put that under the
just to avoid to purposely avoid that particular sad baggage.
I don't
claim.
mess with baggage claim. I don't mess with checked bags. If it doesn't fit in my carry-ons, I'm not bringing it. I don't need it. I will never check a bag.
But you're saying you do this at any airport. This is not specific to Miami Airport.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would do it at nice LaGuardia. It doesn't matter if it's my LaGuardia baggage claim. So nice.
They've really improved LaGuardia. I don't know
It's great,
I don't know
yeah.
how much money they've poured into LaGuardia.
Billions of dollars.
It was such a dump, and now they've made it lovely. And I wonder why no one in Miami is doing anything comparable.
Why is Miami International Airport so bad? Like, I think it's fine. It's just an airport, right? Like, I'm
No,
not
it's
trying.
bad.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good enough airport. I'm not trying to live there. Like, I'm just kind of getting in there, getting on a bird.
Right. You're trying to get in and out.
In and out. Get on the bird, get off the bird. Exactly right. I'm not looking
One
to
of the problems
hang out in a
is
lounge,
baggage claim makes it so you can't get in and out. And
been
it
fine.
suggests to me that you guys aren't seeing a whole lot of airports if you're seeing this
I mean,
one.
Miami's not the worst. I've been to a
It's
lot
pretty-
worse
There's
airports
goo
than
coming
Miami.
out of the
It's pretty
ceiling.
bad.
There's goo
Antifreeze.
coming out of the ceiling
Yeah,
into a
that's
little
fine.
tube into a garbage
And a
can.
raccoon, I think.
That was at LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Is
no,
there
was
any-
that at JFK? I don't know. JFK is gross.
Is there any better feeling in the world than when you sit on a like stuffed luggage and then you close that extra compartment that opens up and you're like, yeah, I made this the small one. This
Hell
fits
yeah.
now.
Love that.
Huh.
Good feeling.
Dan, you know the feeling?
There are better feelings than that.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
There are
Name
yes, a
one.
couple. In
Yes,
in
and.
all of your Billy, go sit out for go sit outside. for a little
Really?
while.
He just got back.
Yes,
I
go
mean-
ahead.
He
Just
was right,
get-
though.
just
It's a
get-
great feeling. I did it last weekend.
Yeah,
Did
but
it this
I
morning.
needed him to keep the show for a second. I was looking down at papers and he did it on purpose.
No, he
like I
did
needed
not.
him to hold on to the show for a second.
He's tired. I mean, you sent him out to the penalty box, no specific time. When should he come back? I mean,
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we're all in shock here because LaGuardia has been rated the greatest airport in America all of a sudden. And my entire life, I have experienced that place as a hellhole. And I will not believe it until I go see it myself.
No, it's so. Lizzie, I'm telling you, I got a $7 cold brew at a Laguardia Bubby's last week. They have made it like the fancy person's airport. It's ridiculous.
They fixed it. What LaGuardia used to be, which was puzzling to me, because I'm like, New York, you're a giant city with all the money. How can you have such a terrible airport? And then it seemed like from 6 months to the next, I know they did some construction, but it's not just that they did it in an enormously fast fashion and took their airport from 1980. Well,
It was not fast. The bathrooms, though, the bathrooms are so nice. Love taking a piss in those bathrooms. It is just the nicest bathroom you'll ever see in New York City.
It doesn't have one of those hand dryers where it's next to the sink so the water just blows back in your face, because that's like new technology, but I also didn't think they thought that through, because that water just comes right back at you.
Don't get me started on hair dryers or hand dryers.
I want to get you started.
No, it used to be just the one that blew out from a round thing.
Yes.
And now it's these ones where you got to put your hands like this.
Right, inside,
Yeah,
yes.
it's,
right.
it's uncleanly.
Everyone else has stuck their hands in there.
Everyone's
Yes.
touching it and going like this, and it's counterproductive.
But
Did you
airports
learn
are
anything?
Airports are all about food, are they not? Like
Yeah.
that's all you really care about.
Food, booze,
Right.
flight.
I'll go to Miami just to hit that Nathan's. I will. Miami International. It's
all
the
right,
nicest Nathan's.
I don't want to do this again. Stugotz, please, reruns on the Nathan's Airport at Miami. Like, I don't want to do this again with you.
I didn't bring up airports. You did.
I don't. The only information you have on airports is that you like the Nathans.
That
Like
is
this-
how I judge an airport, the food situation.
Thank you.
I like to take a good lap, go right. Even if my gate's to the left, I'm walking right. I got to see what they got to offer.
Right. Yeah.
And then you walk over there and it's just like a zona fresca. It's like, God damn it.
Right.
I wanted something
Very
better than this.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miami's disappointing that way too. I don't know how many airports you're traveling to that you think the Miami International Airport is not an international embarrassment.
I feel like the SkyTrain is also always broken and always under construction. And there have been times where I have almost missed my flight, even though I got there very early, because you have to walk a mile to your gate. It's crazy.
I'm curious among us who are the big travelers here, because Stugotz's airport information isn't very good if he thinks that the Miami International Airport is an airport in America that doesn't pale to any other good airports. It is an abomination.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a great airport. I've been to O'Hare. That's a disaster for me, because when you land, it takes, probably 20
just
minutes
big,
to get to the
right?
gate. Yeah, it's just too big. You're taking trains. You're doing a lot of work in that airport. Miami Airport, I'm not saying it's the greatest airport in the world. I'm just saying it serves its purpose. It's not the worst. I've seen worse airports.
It's a misuse of space. It's huge.
No,
You've got a
stop.
whole area where it's like high-end shopping. Who does all that on their way way to, I don't know, Milwaukee.
Travelers.
International travelers.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it might not be useful to you, but it's useful to someone. There's a reason those stores are there.
It makes the concourse so long, and you have to just walk for miles. If you have to take a train, I hate your airport. Dallas Airport, get out of here with that.
Fair.
You have to go in circles.
That's the way I judge airports. If I have a tight connection, if I have like a 45-minute connection, I don't want to feel stressed like I got to take 2 trains and a trolley and a tram to get into a different terminal.
You want to get off your plane, and your next plane's right at the next gate.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I will fly in and out of Fort Lauderdale to avoid Miami, even if the flight isn't quite as convenient.
Fort Lauderdale is not great.
Oh, it's so much better than Miami.
Really?
I can also tell you that Miami has no direct flights to Milwaukee. They have no direct flights anywhere.
Who wants to go there, though? Respectfully.
I want to ask the group here off of last night's game, and I'm serious about this. How am I to talk today about the 3-6 Miami Dolphins? And the reason that I ask you this question, okay, because I'm doing a lot of reading these days during these dark times. And Mark Twain has the quote, and it hit me in the heart, this quote: "It's better to be an optimist who is sometimes wrong than a pessimist who is always right." I have been the pessimist who is always right about the Dolphins for 25 years. And it's a suffering. I don't want to live my life like this. I also don't want to live a life that has to pay attention to last night's game. Has to pay attention because a 2-6 team is winning to make themselves 3-6. And it's, to me, and they've got an easy schedule the rest of the way.
Yes.
So it's going to be another one of these dumbass dances of try to get there, and if you get there, like physically crawling on your hands and knees, and then lose in the first round because you spent the season losing. And it's just another recyclable, but that's not the mood today when you go on the West Coast and win a football game.
That was a big win for the Dolphins. I know you don't want to hear that today, but it puts them back into the playoff mix. It really does, Dan. I mean, you don't think this team with Tua, they're a different team with Tua. We can all agree. We can get to why is Tua trying to tackle someone when he throws an interception a little bit later, but you could agree this is a different team with Tua, and when their wide receivers are healthy, the defense is coming around. Like, I could see this team making it to the playoffs and possibly winning a game or two.
See, I hate this.
Really?
Yeah, because
Dan, that's what football is. It's hope.
So I do this with the Saints today. If you're driving through New Orleans right now and they're talking about that victory the same way,
right?
You're like, that's ridiculous. You're like listening. Anybody who turned 3-6 or 3-7 yesterday with a win, you're not listening to that show and being like, you know what? I do think that team can make a playoff run. If you've got 6 or 7 losses by this point in the season, 6 or 7 losses, I'm not counting on you to make a deep playoff run.
I understand that, but the conferences are different. So the Green Bay Packers are the 7th seed right now. They're 6-3. I don't think the Saints think they're going to catch them. But in the AFC, that final playoff spot is 5-5, and they're 3-6.
Yeah, but the final playoff spot. This is what I'm telling you about this damn sport. That's so funny. All right, you leak in as a 6 seed, and what? You're gonna go lose. Like, it's just because the playoffs are big.
Here you go. You play. Who are you gonna play in the first round? The Bills. Well, you don't want to play the Bills. That's not a good situation.
That's a defeatist attitude.
Hopefully the Chiefs fall. Yeah, look at this. How do you talk about this team? Second place Miami Dolphins, huh? Clicking on all cylinders now.
Yeah.
They haven't been healthy all season. They missed their quarterback for 4 games. Their top wide receiver had a mysterious knee surgery that no one knew about, that we only found out about because of his detainment, not arrest. And in said detainment, not arrest, he injured his wrist, which he wasn't able to play or able to practice on Friday, but he played through it. He's been hurt. Jalen Waddle, who they paid a ton of money to, can't catch the ball worth a darn. Like, that's what's going on right now. Yeah. They had a guy that broke his orbital socket, and he's back to playing because he has a visor on now. And sure enough, you can break your orbital socket, but a week later, just put a piece of plastic in front of it, and you're good to go. Like, that's the team.
The defense was the revelation last night. If that defense can play the way it did against a healthy Rams offense, Aikman was saying last night, this is the best passing offense the Dolphins have faced all season, and they looked good. Like he said, Sealer being back, Javon Holland being back. I'm with you, Dan. This is not a Super Bowl team right now, but I don't agree with you that I'm fine being the 7 seed, fighting for a playoff spot. Even if you lose that game, it's better than just missing the playoffs.
Yeah. They sacked Matthew Stafford 4 times, which is significant because they had 10 sacks all season going into last night's game. They were second to last in the league in defensive sacks. They're going to win the next 2 games to get to 5 and 6.
All right. See,
Okay?
that I'm not doing that with this team.
Why?
Okay, I'm just not.
I mean, it's
because
the
if Tua
Patriots-
gets hurt in the first quarter, you guys are all going to be surprised and then calling for his retirement.
Well, that's Chris Greer's
Well,
fault.
but that goes without saying. If
Right.
anybody
But, no,
gets hurt,
but I'm
if
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes gets hurt right now, what happens to the Chiefs?
You trust Carson
You can
Wentz?
say that about anybody.
They just won 2
I
Super
do.
Bowls, though. It's totally different.
It's not only totally different. What 2 Super Bowls and the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 20-something years. It's not just different there.
They're due.
It's also different from there's no margin for error left. These guys doing, that's a win, easy schedule, as if the Dolphins haven't been the easy thing on everyone's schedule for 5 weeks. It's funny.
I know, but now they're healthy and their quarterback is back and they're playing at home, the Raiders and the Patriots. Those are 2 games. I'm with Greg. They are going to win those games. I know you hate that, but they're going to win those games.
I look at the Dolphins' remaining schedule. There's a very reasonable pathway to 8 wins. What they're going to have to do is win a game you don't expect them to win. They're going to have to get to 9 wins. In this league, 9 wins is going to make the wild card, and
All right,
they can do
I
that.
don't trust a 9-8 team to win the Super Bowl.
No.
Maybe.
The Packers did it as a 9-7 team.
I don't trust a 9-8 team. Stugotz, you can do outliers with me all day. You could do Trent Dilfer too. I don't want him as my quarterback. It's fine that he was a champion that one year. Don't want him or anyone like him ever as my quarterback.
The difference, though, is that if you do make the playoffs as the lowest seed instead of just having a season where you don't and you lose a couple more games, it's a difference between like a top 15 pick and like a bottom of the first round pick, right? Like that's sort of what you're playing for at that point.
If I may. Because being a Dolphins fan for as long as Dan has been a Dolphins fan is different than any other fandom. And so, yes, I think if you look at the big picture and say, okay, that team could end up, whatever that number is, 9-8 and squeak into the playoffs, that's fine. But having to watch the entire way this team that you think is supposed to be explosive, but what they get Tyreek Hill a 1-yard touchdown just so he can celebrate. Like, it's not fun to watch. You're watching with your eyes covered because you don't want Tua to get hurt. You think the running game is good, but you really have a running game that's reliable that you can give a running back 30 carries to and let them carry you. No, it just doesn't seem like it's a sustainable thing, and it's certainly not fun to watch this way.
Not like last year. I mean, the drop-off offensively from last year is epic, but they're still a team that has a chance. If you're a Dolphin fan, you're allowed to hope. It's not illegal to hope.
I'm very frustrated by this.
Stugotz, more muscular.
Mm-hmm. I have lost 10 pounds.
Have you?
Yeah, using my Peloton. I've had the Peloton in my house. So my daughter, she wanted me to get a Peloton.
Yeah.
I did. She used it a couple of times.
Great endorsement.
But once she left to college and the Peloton was just sitting there in my office and it wasn't being used, I said, you know what? I got to use this. And I have lost 10 to 12 pounds, Billy.
So I started using Peloton as a bike. Obviously, that's like what they're known for. But recently, I discovered all of the other classes that they have. So they have like a series of weightlifting classes. They have programs, which for me, the programs is great because I don't have to think about what I'm doing. Sure. If not, I just go and I pick a class at random and I don't know that I'm actually accomplishing anything.
I would like some recommendations on classes because I keep going to the same class.
Okay.
It's the Grateful Dead class, by the way.
You do like a 4-week core program with Emma Lovewell.
Right.
I would recommend that one.
Okay.
Anyone can do that. Any level starts out, easy, and then you work your way up. And then there's like a core program 2 that you can do after core program 1 if you want to do that. Yeah, if you graduate.
Wait a second. You have to graduate course 1 to get to course 2, the harder course?
Well, you can start at course 2 if you want, but I eased my way in. I did course 1 first. Then you can do some strength classes with Andy. Love a strength class with Andy. He really puts me through it. I get up and I'm like a sweaty mess. And I'm kind of disgusting and I love it. You know anything about Peloton, Stugotz?
What?
Peloton coaches, they walk the walk.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they talk the talk?
They have sub 3-hour marathon runner coaches. They have military trained athlete coaches, former college basketball player coaches, and so many other well-rounded coaches on their team. All this experience really shows in their classes, which are never short of challenging. You can do some resistance band classes. I got some resistance bands lately.
You're my teacher.
Am I?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Well, I just go with the program so that I don't have to think because I don't know. I don't actually know what I'm doing. Anyways, what's the like Mr. Olympia, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
The one where you go and you're like lifting
Tony
like
Atlas.
giant boulders.
Yeah.
Hey, we should talk to Magnus again.
That's Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did I say?
Olympus.
Did I?
I don't know.
Anyways, find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
Stugotz here for my friends over at Simply Safe. The holiday season is right around the corner. That means you're away more, and burglars know it. That means you need to protect your home.
Right now, Simply Safe is giving exclusive early access to its Black Friday sale to Le Batard Show listeners. Simply Safe is the home security I trust to keep my home and family safe. Simply Safe is a new way to protect your home that stops intruders before they break into your home. Old school systems only take action once someone is already inside your home. That's too late. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection changes the game by preventing crime before it even happens. If someone's lurking around or acting suspiciously, those agents see them in real time, talk to them directly, set off your spotlights, and even call the police before they've had a chance to break in. Simply Safe is offering my listeners exclusive early access to their Black Friday sale. This week only, you can take 60% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan. This is their best offer of the year. Head to simplysafe.com/DLB to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this holiday season. Don't wait. This offer won't last long. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is sponsored by BetterHelp. From the bottom of my heart, thank all the faithful listeners day in and day out of the Le Batard Show. Some of you have stuck around with us for 20 years. Some of you have just gotten here and starting to get into the tent. We appreciate every single one of you listeners because you make this happen every day. Whether it's been 20 years or a few months, thank you. And this month is all about gratitude. And along with the group I just shouted out there, there's another person we don't get to thank enough. Ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything in this crazy world. That isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB. Thanks, guys.
Dan Le Batard.
All right, we got to go back out there. That was big. Wake him up.
He doesn't want to be bothered anymore. Now it's getting tense because he didn't need that as a result. He needs something that happens.
You can see him mother effing.
No, he's pissed.
Can we bother? Are we bothering you right now?
Turn on your microphone, Greg.
My microphone's on.
Stugotz.
Paint the scene.
Paint the scene is I got to go to work. Good night.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I can't help but be frustrated by this because this has to be exasperating to listen to if you're not someone who cares about the Dolphins. You're like, really? They're going to do here comes the 3-6 team because they won a Monday night game.
Right.
They won the most recent game played. And so the last month where we have spent declaring that the season is over now changes because you get to 3-6. I can't do this today.
I don't think it's just last night's game. I think it's the fact that they played at Buffalo the week before. They played a very good game. They lost that game, but it's a game they could have won. Then they won last night's game. Dan, last year in the NFC, you had the Packers get in as the 7th seed at 9-8. They went on the road. They beat Dallas. Like, I think Dolphin fans would take something like that.
Okay, and Dolphin fans will take something like that. Of course, they're 3-6.
I know.
They could be 5-4.
They'll take anything they will take that feels positive. And last night was positive. When Jessica speaks of draft picks, and this part, the evolution of this one has been super interesting to me in that sport where everyone's jostling for, do we want to trade you a 5th-round pick and a 4th-round pick? Because it's all about maneuvering to get value contracts, to find players you could just lock up because you got someone in the 4th round that no one was expecting you to, and then you can lock him up for a long time. So when she says the difference between a top 15 pick and a bottom 15 pick, I'd take right now the top 15 pick and say, be done with this Dolphin season. I don't need to see any more from this Dolphin season. I don't, because what it is that they're playing with, having their quarterback run around in service of this 1-yard passes to Tyreek Hill because the window is now, and it has no vision whatsoever. I'd take the top pick now and be done with the rest of the season. But I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do nationally with the fact that I'm sitting in a room full of people who, when they talk about the Dolphins, are going to get overly excited about getting to 3-6.
Well, I'm just saying, they technically kept their season alive last night. I really think that's all any of us are saying.
But we're making fun of Jessica because her Steelers aren't that good with 2 losses, and we're saying that can't win deep in the playoffs.
That team is good.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Dan.
They're very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I texted Lehman at like 11 p.m. last night and said, they're going to talk about the Rams like they're the 2007 Patriots tomorrow morning. They're going to be so excited about this. guys, the Dolphins defense, they were good, but Matthew Stafford was bad. That Rams offense could not stop getting out of their own way. They couldn't stop making mistakes. They looked terrible last night. And that is a 500 team that has struggled this entire season. And yes, you can look down the schedule and look at Vegas and New England and the Jets and say, okay, we're going to win these games, but this is not an easy schedule. This is not
Still
an
alive,
easy schedule.
baby.
And I love schedule talk. I see a loss, I see wins, but
It's
not a
the
lot of
second easiest schedule in the league. It is empirically the second easiest.
After the next, there's 2 games that are easy, and then it gets tough again. But it's just, I'm not ready to quit on this team yet. I'm just not ready to quit on this team. But the macro, Dan, it is sad that last year we felt like we had arrived. The Dolphins are a good team now, and we're a year later, and we're back to just being middle of the road. So I'm with you on the macro.
Middle of the road is not 3-6. It's losing 2/3 of your games.
Dan, this is a middle, like
your starting quarterback missed 4 games.
Yeah.
This is a middle of the road team, like talent wise. This is not one of the worst rosters in the league. But to your point, that's the last place you want to be, directly in the middle. So it's just sad that we seem to have gone from a good team back to being just one of those middle teams. And that, I agree with you. That is sad. I thought that our run of being a good team was going to last longer than just last year.
But that's all predicated on the quarterback being healthy. When your quarterback is healthy, you're a good team. Is that fair to say?
You're a good offense.
Right?
What's wrong with a little positivity and hope? Like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Why can't we be happy? Why can't yesterday was a big win? Why can't we be happy? Calais Campbell found the fountain of Ute yesterday, apparently. Secured himself a spot in Canton last night. Like, we just want to be happy and positive about the team.
But
And it's like
I'll
everyone's
tell you
like,
why.
no, boo, boo.
Because someone has to tug on the other side of the rope when we sound ridiculous celebrating a 3-6 team.
You guys sound ridiculous,
as
thinking
if
they don't
it
have a
means
shot.
something to win the only game played in football. We have to talk about that just because it was the only game played yesterday. Like, and I really, honestly, like, I know that when Dolphin fans hear this is not what anyone wants to do 12 hours after that victory is here. That they want to hear these guys celebrating this season as they have the last 20 and been wrong.
So give it to them.
No, you're letting the coaches and the front office off the hook if you're doing that. Because, yes, Tua got hurt. They knew that Tua had concussion issues going into the season. And what was their backup plan? What was the backup plan?
To not know that Skylar Thompson couldn't be their starter, and then to panic and then just go get a guy that they had to get 5 seconds of preparation for.
I'm good not talking about the game at all for the remainder of the show. What I want to talk about is why Tua feels the need to tackle. And the Dolphins should have a guy on the field that when Tua throws an interception, that guy's job is to tackle Tua to prevent Tua from trying to very gently. Two-hand touch. I mean, whatever, just shove him to the ground.
Block him.
Stugotz, which is it? Is it two-hand touch, shove him to the ground,
pick him
gently,
up.
or
I don't
tackle
care.
him?
I mean-
What's the job you're offering? Somebody has to gently cradle him. Put it on the
restrain
poll.
him, hold him back.
At Lebitard Show, should the Dolphins give a roster spot to someone who gently cradles Tua whenever he throws an interception?
Or you just you get in his face, you say, hey, Tua, listen to me. When you throw an interception, you sit on the field crisscross applesauce. That's what you do immediately. You don't move. You don't run after the play. Wherever you are on the field, you sit crisscross applesauce. That's a funny visual of Tua just like in the middle of a play throwing an interception.
He's got a special skill to get his head wherever the action is. Like, it wasn't even just on this one. It was another offensive play. He's just reckless with his brain.
Well, in his defense, on this play where he tried to make a tackle, he's the last line of defense. He goes to the sideline.
No, he's not. There
look
were
at the
so
other,
many Dolphins
look at
players.
The 72's right there.
I'm telling you.
No, Chris, look at the full image.
At the
he
other
was
angle.
not the last line of. Look, there's a player right there in the shot. Even
He turned his body. He did not use his head.
You can't coach it out of Tua, apparently, because he did it last week in Buffalo where he's diving head first. He's trying to dive at people's legs, now, which, by the way, is kind of a dirty hit, but he's trying to dive at people's legs here also. Like, Tua, I love Tua. I want Tua to succeed. I want him to be my long-term quarterback. I think that when he's healthy, he's good, obviously, with this system. However, it seems inevitable that this is going to happen again with the way that he plays, and he's not changing his style of play. So I don't know what you do with him because, like, you can feel bad for him. I feel bad for him that he keeps having these things happen, but he also keeps putting himself in positions for these to happen over and over again. So it's kind of like, Tua, buddy, I love you, but you're doing this to yourself. Like, what are we doing here?
I understand everything that everyone is saying. Totally reasonable. I will tell you guys again that warriors tend not to consider consequences. Otherwise, they wouldn't be warriors. And so what ends up happening in that situation is you are right. Not unlike George Pickens plays weird. Tua will find your knee with his head. I don't know how. I don't know how it is he's doing that, but he's scaring the hell out of us because we're all telling him, crisscross applesauce, stand up, sit down, have someone cradle you, something else. He's like, no, I'm going head first right for the knees. Moving, running knees is where I'm going.
To the death of me.
He is so brave.
And in pursuit of let's get to 3-6.
You got to get to 3-6 before you can get to 9-7, Dan. Duh.
Yeah.
Do you? I think mathematically you don't.
No, you do when you're 2-6. You got to get to 3-6 before you can get to 9-7.
Well, yes, when you're 2-6. Yes, when you're 2-6.
5, 6,
but you don't. Yeah. Yes, when you're 2-6,
go on a run.
You do have to get to 3-6.
Yeah.
You don't think this team has a shot, huh?
I'm just so tired of the illusion that this sport is. Yes, they have a shot because every 2-win team has a shot. That doesn't mean they all actually have a shot.
Yeah, but can I ask you a question? 9-0 Kansas City. What do you think about them?
Yeah, all one-score wins. And, yes, I thought last year, just like Stugotz, they could be beaten. And they won the Super Bowl. And when the Dolphins went there with a lot of hope, they didn't get anything.
I like that Chris is acting like this is that 2006 Steelers-Colts game where Ben Roethlisberger was the literal last player and saved the tackle by
I know in this shot
player.
Armstead's there, but there's a shot when he's approaching where Tua is the last guy.
Was he a
Even
ghost?
if he is the
what's
last
happening
guy,
here?
so what? You're the quarterback.
Look, I'm just saying it would have been an
got
odd
kneed in the
look
head.
if Tua was just oop, and he got out of the way and let the guy go down.
No,
the field
you say
and
it's an
score.
odd look. Jessica, you bring up that particular play call. It's one of the biggest arguments Stugotz and I have ever had on air. He finally, and he does this quietly, just wanders over to my side of the argument and makes the argument for a Dolphin roster spot going to someone to cradle Tua when he throws an interception. But on that play that you're talking about with Roethlisberger in a playoff game was the last line of defense. I'm yelling at Stugotz. The quarterback in every circumstance needs to, because he is so valuable against the salary cap, anytime he throws an interception, get the hell off of the field. Don't ever one time make a tackle. And Stugotz was arguing with me, not incorrectly, Dan, how ridiculous would it look if Tua throws an interception and immediately sprints away from all the action? Yes, it would look totally ridiculous. And I am here for it for the rest of his career.
Guys, there's a middle ground, which is don't put your head down. There is a middle ground, which is try to stay on your 2 feet with your head up and push the guy out of bounds. He put his head down and got kneed in the head.
He did not. He turned his body into that runner.
Yes.
He did not turn his. Look at it again.
But Dan is saying sprint away from that runner.
And I agree with him.
Greg, how is he not lowering his head?
at his
He's
head
on
right
his
now.
knee.
Guys, he doesn't know how to tackle. He's just a guy trying not to die.
He tried to make a body
he's not.
tackle.
I would argue he's not trying not to die there.
Right.
He's not wrapping the player. He's just dropping his body and putting his head directly in front of his knee.
That is not a man looking to
no,
not
he isn't.
die. I mean,
You guys aren't seeing the same play I'm looking at.
Greg, he got hit in the helmet with a knee.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Back of the helmet.
Show the
Yeah.
Chris angle.
Wait,
where
did
the
it
ghost
happen
people
another
are playing.
time? Are you watching a different
Greg,
clip?
he does get hit by the runner's knee, hits him in the side of the helmet toward the bottom. It's not on his skull, but he is hit by a knee there by the runner. You see his helmet give there. I just don't think there is a middle ground here. I'm not arguing for the middle ground. I'm telling him to get down flat on the ground. Make sure no one can hit him. Get on your stomach.
You're telling him to get off the field.
Fetal position, whatever. Just whatever the way is.
Hey,
Whatever.
become a speed bump. Slow him down at least.
No speed bump.
Oh.
I don't want him anywhere near where the tackles are happening.
You guys don't look at the last couple games and say, wow, there's depth on this team. Jonnu Smith has become a great target for Tua. Yesterday, OBJ, 17 yards. There's weapons here.
Let's try it this way. Of the 3-win teams, this is the best one.
There you go, Dan.
I like it. Is that fair?
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, who's better than them with 3 wins?
I don't have
nobody.
I don't have the schedule in front of me. I just was worried about this 20 minutes ago.
I think if we can convince Dan by the end of the show to be hopeful for the Dolphins, then we have given all fans hope. And I think it should be a goal for
Well,
you,
let's
Stu.
do it another way, because I'm accused all the time of being in an insulated bubble where I don't get the real feelings of America.
Yeah, bad fan.
That hurts so much.
I'm sorry.
You've really wounded me in a place that's
You're a
deeply
bad
personal
fan.
to me.
You're
Yes.
incapable of being a fan.
Yes, no, I love when people judge my fandom as insufficient compared to their fandom. Coming from a total career homer. Lucy, I want to bring you in here because I want to know what you think of this talk as I wrestle with optimist, pessimist, what's the correct way to do this between the Miami audience and the national audience that's laughing at us as a Miami show because trying to talk yourself into 3-6 is pathetic 9 weeks into the season.
Aren't we supposed to be funny? Don't we want them laughing at us?
Yeah.
Isn't that good? Right?
Yeah.
Laughing with us is what we prefer. Laughing because of things that we're doing.
Laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Mirthful, joyful. So you're experiencing, because I've seen you wander away. You ate an entire apple during this segment.
Okay.
An
in
apple
my
a day,
defense,
Dan.
We have randomly just started. Look, in my defense, we have randomly just started the show early. No one told me we were doing that. So I had to eat breakfast. Because guess what? What if I passed out? It would have been good content, but it wouldn't have been good for me.
Most
Or
important meal
even
of the
worse,
day.
what if I was cranky because I was hungry?
Right? Yeah.
You know,
Now
an
I'm
apple
not.
wakes you
Now
up more
I'm in
than
a good
coffee
mood,
does.
so I can be the optimist for your pessimist. You're welcome.
But you're surrounded by all of these people who are talking hopefully about a 3-6 team.
No, about a team that's about to be 5-6.
There you go.
Right.
Okay, if you look at the
There
NFL
you go.
standings, 2 weeks from now they're 5-6.
Well said.
And they're right back
It's
in
such
it.
a rallying
Yeah.
cry. It really is. It's what I signed up for when the Dolphins went all in this season. Can they get to 5-6 with the guaranteed 2 wins Cody gives you?
And don't let them get to 6-6 because if they do,
God forbid.
that is a statement.
Yep.
That win over the Packers to put them at 6-6. Don't let that happen, America, because then there's a train and you can't stop that from moving.
Was it the last Brian Flores season where they finished the season on like the 7-game win streak against all teams with the below 500 record, and everyone was like, "Hey, how about the Dolphins?"
What a year.
My favorite of those was Chad Pennington, top 5 in MVP. They go 11-5 in one-score games, get to the playoffs, and get ransacked by Ed Reed in the first round and Ray Lewis by 30 points.
I think he was the runner-up, Chad Pennington.
Yeah, I think he finished second because they won all these one-score games. You know who that is this year? The Chiefs are that this
You're hard
year.
to impress. Like
Yeah.
a team wins by 1 score. That does all these 1-score wins. It's just like there's more than just
No,
Super Bowl, Dan.
Chris, it's not
A playoff win
yes,
would be amazing.
Yes, but this is the part, though, where I stop you because the Dolphins have been on this particular treadmill in my lifetime, turning your father, the homer, who used to cover a national team. They became a regional team because of all of the 20 years of that. Oh, if we get there, we'll get a game, and then we'll go through Wanstead and Jimmy Johnson and run them out of town. And the 20 years after that, if we get a game in the playoffs, it'll mean something. And no team in the sport that puts into its rules equality where all the games are close. No team in the sport has done less playoff winning the last 20-something years than the Miami Dolphins. I've seen in my lifetime over the last 20 years, I've seen the Bills go from no playoff appearances in 17 years to now they're dominant. I've seen the Lions go from international laughingstock to now they're dominant. And you're still arguing with me 20 years after I had to endure 7 years of arguing about Tannehill. You're still saying, hey, 3-6 and hope. And I'm like, bleep out of here.
The Jets are still the Jets, though. I mean...
I don't understand. When we argue you need a ring to be successful, like we're bad, but the Dolphins need a ring to impress you.
No, they need to
Rings
not
are
be
nothing with
3-6
this guy.
with him guaranteeing that they'll get to 5-6.
Don't
and
let
that's
him get
what
to
I'm
6
supposed to
and 6.
celebrate.
Just view it as they're already 5-6. Try
What
it
is-
that
That's
way.
Still a losing
Yes.
record.
1-0 in the last one.
In the hunt.
I mean,
Guys, Dan's being very reasonable about this take.
Nah.
Okay.
I see what you're doing, though, Dan.
What happened to Yes and there, nah? What happened? Yeah.
Why couldn't Brian Flores just get on that boat? Just illegally meet and tamper with Tom Brady. Everything would have been different.
I think what Dan's doing is he recognizes that everybody wants to see him unhappy and to see him be wrong. And so he's basically getting the rest of the country onto the Dolphins, having them cheer with us. Don't let them get to 6-6. The rest of the country will be looking at you, Dan.
Statement.
Correct. Fans have to play the cards they're dealt.
Yeah.
Okay. Dolphin fans right now have been dealt a bad hand with Tua's 4-game injury with a 3-6 record.
It's a bad head more than a bad hand.
Okay, but the hand they're dealt right now is that we have 2 very, very, very winnable games. We're going to be 5-6, and then talk to me.
Okay.
That's the
Don't
hand.
let them get to 6-6.
And if the local media continues to say, "Hey, how about 5-6?" then the front office will continue to have no pressure on them to deliver
absolutely
something
not
better.
True. I wrote when Tua was hurt, I wrote a column second guessing their whole roster construct. This was the classic team with Tua's vulnerability. This was the team that needed a Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton. Somebody experiences a backup, and they didn't do it. That's a fatal flaw if they don't turn it around and make the playoffs.
I want to understand from you guys who are watching a half a season of football, and we're sitting here measuring it every single week, and we measure it even though we can't predict what kind of injuries there are. We can only guarantee you that there will be many, many injuries. When the Dolphins win that game on Monday night, with a point total, by the way, that is fine, but I don't think it's sustainable to consider that you're going to hold teams consistently like the Rams to 15 points and get into one of these games where they decide they're going to kick nothing but field goals. And they're going to, like, I'm watching the game and I legitimately can't tell. Is this the Dolphins doing it to them with 4 sacks, or is this the Rams just not functioning the way they normally function for whatever the reasons are that I'm not understanding, and they're getting stuck with 5 field goals instead of winning that game 35-23? When you go across the country and you play a team that's otherwise mediocre in a mediocre division that we're assuming San Francisco is going to win because we're not expecting Arizona to stay atop it, but all the teams in that division have 4 losses because everybody's got 4 losses because there are more bad teams in the league than there are good teams in the league.
For sure.
How do you do the analysis on what happened last night that isn't just merely, well, they're 3-6 and now they can be 5-6? I'm talking about real measurements about what you're watching, where they're a small underdog in that game because all of the teams are just about the same. And in this particular game, the Rams had to settle for 5 field goals in a way they don't usually have to settle for 5 field goals. Is it something that I'm just obligated to give the Dolphins credit for that? Or can I look at the Rams and be like, well, that's not normal for them?
I think most people don't expect their team to be fully formed or be ready to roll until playoff time. So you could argue that the Dolphins, without their quarterback for a little while, with some injuries they have to work through, figuring out which weapons are the best weapons, Jonnu Smith probably most reliable one. So you're saying to yourself, okay, just stay in the hunt while we figure this out. By week 16, 17, maybe this is the 70-point offense again. Maybe not, but it might be something better that gives you some hope. I'm just trying to let Dan know how to be a fan a little bit and not rule out your team for the rest of the season.
This is what fans do. I guarantee you Rams fans were doing the same thing last night. Their team looked dreadful. That offense looked dreadful, but they're looking at their schedule and trying to figure out what's the path for us to get to the playoffs. Dan, the Jets have never looked worse. I spent the entire plane ride home figuring out how the Jets could make it to the playoffs because that's what fans do. We hope.
You say that's what fans do, but that team has a coach and a quarterback that have won Super Bowls. This one has been watched for 2 decades in Miami, and you guys have been wrong for 2 decades making this argument with me. Like for 2 damn decades, you guys have been wrong every single time, hoping every single time.
But what are you afraid of? Because we're choosing to be happy here. You're afraid of being happy and trusting this team and then looking silly at the end of the year? Who cares?
Right.
Look silly then, be sad then. Why are you going to be sad for 18 weeks of the year? Be happy now. Be sad at the end.
A year ago, Tua made the Pro Bowl, stayed healthy. The Dolphins had the best or second best offense in the entire league. No apologies for coming into this season with high expectations. And I don't blame the whole thing on Tua missing 4 games, although that's a huge part of it. Since Tua's been back, they've scored 27, 28, and 23 points. That's not bad. That's much better than it had been. And the defense is healthier than it's been all season. Zach Seiler back in the lineup was huge last night.
Seiler.
And they were very good. You know, they had a...
Tomato.
Matthew Stafford looked bad because the Dolphins made him look bad. And so... You know, I'll be as optimistic as I want to be. While also
I get scared
being
of Sealer's name too, though. I got to be honest. It's happened the entire time he's been on the team. No, I get scared. I got to be honest. I was scared when we sat across from him. I thought I was going to say Seiler as well.
Yeah, it should be Seiler.
Season's greetings, podcast audience. It's Mike Ryan, and now is that time of year where you start hosting your family gatherings, be it Thanksgiving, be it the upcoming holiday season. You're going to have some folks in town. You're going to be doing some entertaining. So why don't you make your family time a Miller time? It's the first thing that I roll out when I got guests over at the house, an ice-cold bucket filled with that beautiful white can. See, Miller time makes family time all the more special because, for one thing, it's got taste that you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who like beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers. It's got simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and an iconic golden color. And at just 96 calories and 3.2 grams of carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time, even during the festive times. Making memories at year-end gatherings tastes like Miller Time. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.